So this week in class, we kind of talked about stop it. We kind of talked about disabilities, and there is a girl. I believe she's in first grade, first or second grade. I'm not exactly sure, but she goes to the school that I do Boys and Girls Club at, and I see her every time that I'm there. She always like she's not in Boys and Girls Club really, but she like is the last one to leave every day, like school. Like her dad come and picks her up every day, and she's in a wheelchair, and I like with Boys and Girls Club we sit like this is the hall, and we sit on this side of the hall. But of course, the boys and girls are literally scattered everywhere because they're kindergartners and they don't listen to us. Um, but we try and like scoot them over when she comes by. And I read this book once that said when when we're young, um, our parents tend to say like don't stare, like don't look at them. Mostly like don't stare at that people. Like if they would have like a disability or something wasn't quite right, they would always say like don't stare at them. But over the years, that kind of turns into like don't acknowledge them, and that's kind of what I see at Boys and Girls Club. Um, they kind of like almost ignore her like as she comes down the hallway, which I mean, like I don't know exactly what the whole story is. I don't know what the whole story is behind that, like, or if they're just too caught up in themselves to notice her, to like to say bye or hi, or if they don't know her or anything. But I just thought that was super interesting to like, even as kindergartners, like I don't know if that's exactly what's going on with them, but um, if it is, like it starts so young. Our parents literally say like, "Don't stare at that person," and I actually used to go to school with a girl with disabilities, sweetest girl I've ever known. Sweet, literally the sweetest girl I've ever known. But when she first came to my school, when we went to kindergarten or K through 12, um, my mom would just say something like, "Don't stare," like, and it took me like a few years to like realize that she's not saying like don't acknowledge her because she's a person. Just like you have to, no matter what, if a person has a disability or not, you should. I mean, you shouldn't stare at them, obviously, but interact with them like they're normal human beings. Like if a girl's in a wheelchair, so what? You just talk to them the same way as if she wasn't in a wheelchair. And I just think people lose sight of that.